I'm delighted to be welcoming you all to this 2019 Archdeaconry Synod for France and Monaco. Bienvenue à tous et à toutes. I'm very sorry that this year I'm not able to be with you. There is a direct clash between the Archdeaconry Synod and a House of Bishops meeting in York, where I'm required to be with my fellow diocesan bishops and archbishops. I do believe that this is an important Archdeaconry Synod for you in France this year for three reasons. Firstly, you have the opportunity to meet some new and key people in our central diocesan life. Firstly, you'll be sharing time with Andrew Kaspari, our new Chief Operating Officer and Diocesan Secretary, the senior layperson in the diocesan administration, and I'm sure that you will enjoy getting to know him. Secondly, you'll be seeing our colleague Damien Thwaites, our Director of Communications, who will be sharing with you ideas about improving communications and bringing the network of chaplaincies closer together in communications terms. I commend Damien to you, and I also commend to you members of our safeguarding team, Marja and Catherine, who will be with you to talk over our new and updated diocesan safeguarding policy. I'm sure we're all aware that safeguarding is a simply crucial priority in our shared diocesan life. So some new faces to get to know. And secondly, within the Archdeaconry itself, there are, as ever, new chaplains, new clergy, new representatives. And so it's a chance to renew old friendships and to make new friends. And I'm sure you'll want to take plenty of time to spend time renewing those friendships, deepening relationships across the country. And then thirdly, there are issues this year, I think particularly around dealing with conflict in the Archdeaconry. I'm aware of conflict situations myself where I have been directly involved in trying to help and to reconcile in different places. One of the features of being the diocese in Europe is that we live a long way apart from one another. So communication is always a top priority. And I want us to reflect on how do we do communication well. Gentle, kind, effective communication is not an option for us. It is a requirement. We are in the business of communicating good news. Sometimes I have to say what we communicate isn't good news at all. And it's distressing when communication is abrupt or even rude and uncharitable and unkind. And as diocesan bishop, I want to be clear that this is a real priority for me, as it is for Damien and for Andrew, who will be amongst you. We're called to be communicators, and I ask you all to reflect on what is it in word and in deed that we actually communicate. I'm very pleased that Kirili Reid will be with you leading a session on welcoming the stranger. Kirili brings particular experience of helping to introduce and to welcome refugees and migrants into an existing and rather fragile set of small chaplaincies, and managing the tension there between an existing group and new people who may be very different. And that's something that many of us have to face. How do we both support one another with people that we know and like, people like ourselves, and yet remain open to those who are very different from ourselves? We live with conflict, with disagreement, with difference. That's not a bad thing, but we have to learn the art of what the Archbishop of Canterbury calls disagreeing well, learning how to be reconciled through conflict. For reconciliation is at the heart of the gospel. God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself. And reconciliation is a tough ask, but it's not an optional part of true Christian discipleship. France and Europe more generally are going through a period of massive upheaval and economic fragility. We are seeing huge angst and concern, not just in France, across the continent. Turbulence on a grand scale. And it's my hope and prayer that as you gather, you'll have opportunity for time for reflection, for quiet, to contemplate the context in which you're ministering and how you support each other in a challenging context and how you grow in faith and love for one another. I hope that in doing this you'll build a stronger Archdeaconry, that you'll go back to your chaplaincies encouraged, and that you'll be playing your part in building a stronger diocese. I send my good wishes to you all, and I look forward very much to hearing about how the discussions and deliberations that you share in over these days have been going.